CNN, they said it well. Why Donald Trump's Super Tuesday win is a defeat for Rupert Murdoch and for Fox News. Look, I don't wish them anything other than the best, right? Well, it's true. I mean, look, there's a lot of wonderful people that work there, and I think they're very well intentioned. And it is also true that they've kind of lost their way, shall we say, since the era of Donald Trump first came to be. They used to control the news in a pretty decisive way, at least on the Republican side of things. And all of a sudden, this guy comes out of nowhere, and he's got America with him more than they're with Fox. Now, that can make people over at Fox a little bit ornery, shall we say, which may be in part why you had Fox actually trying to see somebody like Nikki Haley get elected, or even somebody like Ron DeSantis. Now, I could have told you neither one of them was going to be able to do the job. I knew that because, well, you know, there's quite a base there, a base of support, if you would, for Donald Trump. But not only is there this base of support, there's a charisma, whether you like him or whether you hate him, there's definitely a charisma there that was not going to be matched by the likes of Ron DeSantis, whom I've interviewed, by the way. He's kind of a drip and a drab. I'm sorry, you know what? I'm sure he's a lovely person, but he's not that exciting, shall we say, on the set. Even when you go to commercial break, you know, most people, if they like you, if they like politics, right? If they like people, and you kind of need to like people in order to be a politician, well, they want to keep talking. They want to have a good time, right? It's not like, okay, it's all for the camera. Like Donald Trump, I'll give you that example. As soon as the cameras were off, the last time I interviewed him, boom, he wanted to talk even some more. And I thought that was really interesting because too many politicians that I've interviewed in the past, whether it be DeSantis, whether it be Mitt Romney, it's like once the camera's off, boom, like they're done. They're out of it. They don't want to talk. So you got to kill 2.5 minutes worth of commercial time with Ron DeSantis sitting on the set. And it's like watching paint dry, okay? I could have told you he was not going to succeed on a national level because of that. I mean, he just doesn't really like people. He doesn't have the personality. He doesn't have the persona. And then Nikki Haley had a host of other things going on. And what was funny is one was to the right of Trump, one was to the left of Trump, and yet neither one of them were going to get to first base, no matter how hard Fox News tried. So Fox News has been playing this game for a really long time now. I mean, they've been trying to take him out of the race. I want to quote from, one of those emails that came out as a result of that whole lawsuit to which Fox had to pay nearly $1 billion for. What was it, $787 million? Hey, and now they got Smartmatic on the way. I'm talking about the Dominion thing. Well, there were a whole bunch of things that came out in the discovery process, and one of them was an email that Rupert Murdoch, who recently stepped down to make room for his son, that Rupert Murdoch sent out to some of his key executives. And I quote, this came out during the litigation, I quote, "We want to make Trump a non-person." Okay, so they wanted him gone. In fact, they went so far, it says, to even block him, effectively blacklisting Trump for a time. According to CNN, I can tell you, having worked there, that kind of thing did happen. In other words, they would go silent on something. Once, I remember this, I had an interview opportunity with the Vice President of the United States of America, and they were like, no, you know, he's been on the air too much. I finally got the interview, but you wouldn't believe, that was like pulling teeth, because there had been some decision made that they weren't going to be too friendly with the president or the vice president anymore at that particular time. So they didn't want them on the air. And so this kind of thing happens. Can you imagine? I mean, would you turn down an interview with the president or the vice president? Well, this is what they were doing, because they were trying so desperately to prop up the likes of Ron DeSantis, which I told you, he never stood a shot in HELL. And then there was Nikki Haley. Now, she really never stood a shot because, well, she seemed a little too aligned with corporate interests. Shall we say Fox News' interests? So, take a look at the stock price. It ain't pretty, folks, over the last several years. Of course, that has a lot to do with the changing medium, streaming, this, that, and the other that we're doing right here. Disney's not necessarily in any better shape. But their ratings have gone through some ups and downs, right? They were very anti-Trump, and all of a sudden, the little upstart Newsmax comes out of nowhere, and they're like, oh my gosh. Fox at one point at 7 p.m. was losing to Newsmax because it became very anti-Trump. So that wasn't really working for them. And they tried something different. All of a sudden, now they're interviewing Fox all the time. I think they got the handwriting on the wall. But what was funny was when Donald Trump said it to Bret Baier himself, he just looked him straight in the eye and basically told him, you know what, your ratings kind of suck. This was great. Epic. Watch.
You believe that they're political witch hunts.
Of course.
But what do you say to the voter who really liked many of your policies?
They still do.
But they can't handle the scandals or the controversies or the name calling or the vitriol. What do you say to that voter who's worried that all leads to a general election loss?
So based on the polls, I'm leading Biden by a lot. Based on the polls, I'm leading all of the Republicans by a lot, by 40 points and more. Right now, I have the best polls I've ever had. People see this stuff for what it is. It's a political witch hunt. It's a continuation.
More independent voters watch Fox News than any other TV source.
A lot less than used to watch it.
They do watch. Those voters
they
usually make up all the difference in the election. And so to the female independent voter in the suburbs who struggled with family financing because of inflation, she's now against Biden, disapproves of Biden, but wasn't with you in 2020 and so far is a hard no for you in 2024. But what do you say to that?
Looking at the right polls.
What do you say?
Really interesting. He says, you know what? You're not looking at the right polls. I just find it kind of funny. He's like, not as many as used to watch Fox News. This is a big victory for Donald Trump because you want to talk about odds stacked against you. I mean, when you don't even have the biggest conservative network on your side, and he didn't. Trust me. I mean, think about even just all the anchors that actually liked Donald Trump, or at least his policies. You know what? I am fair. I am totally, utterly fair. And so I don't care, like Republican, Democrat, you want to cut taxes, you want to grow our economy, you want to keep us safe, you want a strong border. I'm not even partisan on this front. I'm actually a registered independent, and I'm willing to vote for any side that's going to do the right things. And so I say this with you knowing that, okay? You need to know that about me. He had the best policy by far for America, but it's not the policy that, say, is embedded and entrenched with corporate interests. And that's the distinguishing factor here. So a lot of my colleagues, Lou Dobbs, for example, Tucker, myself, does Steve Hilton have a show anymore over there? I mean, there's just a lot of people, right, that really spoke to the policy itself, that liked the policy, that aren't there. And I do think that there is a definitive desire for executives at Fox to be in bed, so to speak, with the establishment, right? They've got to have the establishment on their side if they want to stay in business effectively. And so that's partly why they have Paul Ryan on the board. Paul Ryan, who clearly isn't doing himself or them any favors. I mean, you think about the trajectory of this company, and it's so poorly managed that even although they apparently hated Trump, they wound up in the situation that they got themselves into with the Dominion voting issue. I mean, wow, right? Because if you were trying to be protective of yourself, if you brought in this fancy lawyer who had been the guy who drafted the Patriot Act and made him in charge of things, wouldn't you think that somehow you'd avoid the nearly $1 billion fine? Nope. So the company's got it coming at them from every direction in that sense. They got Paul Ryan there trying to make sure they walk the walk. And yet they've got their viewers that are saying, well, I'm not just going to be spoon-fed whatever you want to give me. And the viewers, they have a voice. I mean, so many of you, I'm watching this in real time. And it's terrific. And thank you. You know, a lot of you are in the chat and we can get to some of your comments in just a moment. But look, we got an enormous number of people here. You think about this. I just started going live here not even a year ago. And look at how we've grown up to 220,000 people. See, this is the future. And Fox News is going to have a lot of challenges in that environment because now a candidate that's good, that resonates with the people, can go straight to the people. He doesn't need Fox News. I don't need Fox News. I don't need a network. Tucker doesn't need a network. Lou doesn't need a network. Megan started her own thing and is killing it. You know what? No one needs a network. Not even the politicians running for the presidency. All they need, all I need, all we need is each other. The people have a voice like they've never had before. And so that's pretty darn scary for these big network establishments, including Fox News.